Lesson number 1 at Active Self-Protection, carry your stinking gun.
Hey everybody, welcome to Active Self-Protection. This is John Correa and I am Stephanie Widener.
She's the CEO and a force science analyst as well. Today's video comes to us from Brazil. Big Tech's Ordnance is my go-to source for accessories for all your defensive and competition firearms. They have great holsters with accessories for concealment and ship fast at great prices. I'm a proud customer and recommend them without hesitation. Handsome fellow in yellow there is an off-duty Brazilian police officer. A bunch of people in the store, they turn and look because some kind of commotion outside. Can see an armed robber come in as our cop is going to get off screen, threaten everybody with the gun that he just transferred into his left hand. When our cop is going to come in, take 6 shots. News story according to what we've linked in the description says he hit him with 2 of those shots. Dude is still going to run off a long way. They did get him later, transferred him to the hospital where he got treated for his acute dose of stupidity, and no one else is harmed. Let's watch it one more time.
All right, so you can see here that everyone's just doing their business and taking care of stuff, but something gets all their attention outside. We have our good guy here trying to access his gun. He makes a different decision and backs into the aisle as the bad guy comes around here and tries to get behind where the clerks are. And here comes our police officer with the 6 shots that go about. 2 into the bad guy, 4 everywhere else, and he did run the bad guy off and was able to win the day.
All right, let's think about lessons. One of the places you know Stephanie from is from our monthly online seminars.
These are one of my favorite things to do. We started doing these during COVID when we couldn't get in person as easily and people still wanted to do a lot of training. And we have had a ton of fun with them, learned a lot, and had a good chance at engaging with the audience and learning a lot together. So you can come join us by going to our website, activeselfprotection.com, and signing up. We have one every month, and they're brought to us by Firearms Legal Protection.
There's all kinds of great stuff in there. We have all the back ones there as well as upcoming ones. If you're a gold patron member, you get to come for free. So think about that program too. All right, it's lesson time.
I think one of the most important lessons that we can start with here is that you need to carry your gun. We're going to have an armed robber come in here in just a few moments, and you may or may not have the opportunity to use your gun, but if you don't have one, you lose all of those options. So if you have one, you get to make the decision if you can use it and save yourself and others with it. Our off-duty police officer here did have one, so he was able to really change the situation here with his firearm. No one else was able to interject at all because no one else had a gun. So they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I think that's a great lesson. I think number 2 here is our officer was paying attention. So whether or not he's off duty or a private citizen here, I think is irrelevant. I think he's acting as a private citizen here, but he's paying attention to his world using more than his eyes. I think obviously sight is probably the most acute human sense, but you're gonna have to use all of your senses in order to protect yourself, and paying attention to your world means using your ears as well. And I don't know if it was a commotion outside or a gunshot or something like that, but everybody is starting to pay attention. You can see the woman in the tank top that's above there is paying attention as well. People are starting to see that something's there and take steps to make themselves safer, like getting out of the danger zone. Now I think it's interesting here, Steph, that he kind of staged his draw here and started thinking about drawing his gun already.
Yep, and then I think he decided he was not going to be able to do that in the most advantageous way possible, so he decided to duck into the aisle and do it there. We will see him take his hand off his gun and cover it back up again, which I think was not the best choice. If you have your hand on your gun, even if it's holstered, you can get it into the fight in a remarkably short time, about half a second, even from the holster. So I really think losing his grip off of that was a mistake.
Yeah, I think that it gave him an opportunity though, but I think he did a good job here of getting himself to a better ambush position.
Absolutely, you could tell he saw he had the opportunity to really gain the upper hand here and really have a counter ambush that's super effective in a lot of ways.
So I think as a private citizen, as a counter ambusher here, rather than go mano-a-mano with an armed robber, I think the better thing to do here, if you can, is to put yourself in a place that he doesn't know that you're about to launch a counter ambush. He's a threat to everybody around him. So if you're thinking in that moment of where can I put myself at the place of maximum advantage, that should be part of your planning. Remember, attitude, skills, and plan to say, where's my place of maximum advantage? Get there to make myself safer. Now, I think it's interesting here that our perp decides to hand switch the gun into his left hand. I don't know why he did that, but this is a perfect opportunity to absolutely fill this guy in.
Yeah, he's not looking down the aisle where our officer is. The gun gun is down, he's not paying attention, he's already thinking about grabbing that money, would be my guess. So this would be a great time for him to launch this counter ambush, but he's a little slow on it.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I mean, we can't see him there. I give him all the credit in the world for actually winning this gunfight, but recognize that this would have been a perfect opportunity if he was ready for that in the moment, because his risk there was very, very low. Now, let's talk about our first shot here, because the biggest thing that we're going to see here is he takes 6 shots, only hits 2 of them. Now, they're effective enough. They do the job, but recognize those 4 other bullets are not helping you here, and our first shot is our best shot.
Right, and the best way to get your best first shot on target and what you are aiming at and make that a really effective first shot is to have a good, strong master grip on that gun.
That's right. Grip is the master. Sight set the pace. Trigger is the servant. We say that all the time. So in that moment before the gunfight, you have that second grip, sights, trigger, grip, sights, trigger to make sure that you put the first shot in him, because his second shot here goes through the glass and almost certainly missed.
No, and you can even see visually here that this grip is a little bit janky, and the gun is kind of waving up and down, and he just doesn't have really good solid control of the gun, good enough to get 2 hits, good enough to win the day, but a really solid grip on that gun could have really changed this in a positive direction.
Yeah, and this is why we say, again, not a lot of officers in Brazil get a lot of firearms training, and a lot of Americans don't either, but get some good competent instruction. Go over to the second channel, Active Self-Protection Extra. That'll help you kind of build some of these. Brian Hill teaches that every single week. Neil teaches that every single week. And what you're seeing here, the third shot's going off, and you can kind of see in his posture here that he's worried, he's under stress. I totally get that. I mean, this guy's a deadly threat to everyone around you. But this is why a really high practice regime and a real mastery of the fundamentals will give you peace in order to get grip, sights, and trigger in that moment, rather than putting shots where we don't know where they're going. So now you see him starting to back up because maybe the guy's turning towards him or whatever, and this is going to affect his accuracy.
Yeah, he gets his head almost completely down here as he backs out of the frame just as another shot breaks. He almost certainly didn't see where that one went.
Yeah, and so this is why, again, you want to practice while the sun is shining, so then that way on your worst day you revert back to the level of training that you have. Because otherwise what you do is you end up putting rounds through the monitor of the computer like you did here, and of course, will a good modern jacketed hollow point go through that? It should, and it should get to the target, but that's going to make it miss, that's going to make it deviate its course, might deform the bullet. So again, the number one cause of reloading, missing, and you can't miss fast enough to win a real gunfight. You can miss fast enough to win a competition, but you cannot miss fast enough to win a gunfight. You got to put shots on an anatomically significant target. Now, I want to say this guy won the day. Okay, so props to him. He covered his ass. I'm proud of him. But let's make sure we learn the lessons here. I think the biggest thing he did right here, Steph, was that he had his firearm on his person.
Second, I think he was thinking with that gun in his hand. He didn't just react to a guy walking through the door with a gun. He came up with a plan. He even changed that plan in the middle and came up with a better plan. And I really like that he was really thinking through this, not just willy-nilly reactions.
Yep, 100%. And I think this shows that even marginally trained people with firearms can defend themselves and everybody around them, and I think that's great. I do think the take-home lesson for those of us who train, though, is to train to a high level, because you're not going to really think about your grip on that day. Give yourself a second to think grip, sights, and trigger as you work to cover your asp.